Placed on top of a 30-metre mound, you enter a narrow doorway designed to focus your attention, moving past a marble crypt into the central courtyard. Immediately in front of you is a Latin cross, and directly behind that is a terrace overlooking the amazing Mont Saint-Michel. Today I'm at a very unique place, Huisnes-sur-Mer German Cemetery, also known as the Fortress of the Dead. It is one of 6 German cemeteries in Normandy. Nearly 250,000 soldiers died fighting for Germany and France during World War II. Huisnes is unique for a number of reasons. Firstly, it is in fact not a cemetery, it's a mausoleum, the only one of its kind in France. Secondly, there's a sad story behind part of it, which I'll get to later. And thirdly, it's 11,956 inhabitants, consisting not only of German soldiers, but other nationalities that were either volunteered or were conscripted, forced labourers, prisoners, and civilians, including women, children, and infants. They were placed here many years after their death, some over 20 years later. It is not entirely clear why they were interred together. The majority of soldiers entombed at Huisnes were casualties of the American Operation Cobra that swept down the western side of Normandy. Its construction was started in 1961 and it was completed and opened in 1963. This was done by the German War Graves Commission that was created in 1919, directly after World War I. A charitable foundation staffed by volunteers and funded entirely by donations, private or otherwise. The mausoleum was built over 2 floors, each floor housing 34 crypts, each crypt containing 180 burials. Each burial is marked by a bronze plaque. Some are unidentified and marked simply as a German soldier. In 1961, work began exhuming the nearly 12,000 bodies from cemeteries and field graves across western Normandy and the Channel Islands. The only exceptions were graves already cared for by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. They would remain in situ. One example of these cemeteries is the military graveyard of Fort George at St. Peter Port on the Channel Island of Guernsey. As I mentioned before, there was a sad story to this place. This marble slab surrounded by torches reads, "Here lies in a common grave 39 named individuals, as well as 58 unknown dead of the Second World War, including 20 children who died in internment." What most don't know is that France had internment camps that were created before World War II. They would house many refugees that were displaced because of the Spanish Civil War. France was unsure what to do with the hundreds of thousands of migrants, so the camps were created, and many weren't closed until after World War II. More refugees would begin to arrive in France, mostly escaping Germany or its aggression in other countries. They began as refugee camps. Their original purpose was to house the refugees, whilst France decided if they could stay. Whilst under German occupation, they held Allied servicemen, French resistance members, and other groups considered as undesirables by the German occupiers and the collaborationist Vichy government. And even civilians who remained in France after their parent country declared war on Germany. The victims beneath the marble slab at Huisnes came mostly from these camps. Post-war, many of the inmates were deemed as Nazi collaborators and were systematically starved by a very small minority, going to show the tragic occurrences brought on by war. Let's not forget, graves are the greatest preachers of peace.